Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back if you've been here before. If it's your first time, welcome to my class. It's another free class with Ivy League English, and I'm your teacher, Patricia. All right, guys, so let's get started. First things first, we need to do introductions. Okay, so hold on one second. I got to get my computer set up. I don't know why I can't see my screen today, but let's start with introductions. And what I would like you guys to tell me today is one, what's your name? I always like to know your names. Number two, tell me what country you're from. It helps me if I know where you guys are. And number three, I'd like to know if you have, I'd like to know if you guys have listened to my brand new podcast yet. So I hope you guys already knew that I started a podcast last week. If you didn't, well, now you know. So I'll put in a little bit of information for you guys. I'd like you again to tell me what is your name, what country you're from, and tell me if you have listened to my brand new podcast. If you haven't, the link is right there. And I see someone's already here, Tamer from Ethiopia. Hello, good to see you. All right, so I know there are other people here. I can see, but I don't know your names. So please help me out. Introduce yourself in the chat box. Just type in your name, what country you're from, and let me know if you've listened to my new podcast. Okay, so I'll give you guys a little bit of time to do that, and I'll also introduce myself. So my name is Patricia. A lot of you already know that, and I'm from the United States. Some of you might not have known that. And of course, I've listened to my podcast already, but here's what I'd like to ask you guys to help me out with. I just started the podcast, and I'd love to know what kinds of things you want me to talk about on the podcast. So if you have suggestions or ideas of things that I can talk about on the podcast, let me know, because that would help me out a lot. All right, so I see Luis is here. Hello, Luis from Honduras. And yes, Luis listened to the podcast already. I knew that. All right, so let's see who else shows up to class today. And Tamer, you're from Ethiopia, but you live in Atlanta now. Okay, that's interesting. So you actually live in the United States, not that far from me. I mean, it's not that close, but not that far. I've been to Atlanta. Okay, so if there's anyone else here who has not introduced themselves yet, please introduce yourself in the chat box. Now, today's class is going to be a little bit different than classes we've had before. And if you came to class yesterday, then you already know what's about to happen. Today is Pop Quiz Day. Pop Quiz Day. So before we go any further, I'm going to type that term in, pop quiz. And my question is, do you guys know what a pop quiz is? I always think that sounds funny. Do you know what a pop quiz is? So what is a pop quiz? If you know what it is, or if you think you know, if you have a guess, go ahead and put it in the chat box and let's see. If you're wrong, that's okay. Remember, I don't give grades in this class. Nobody fails this class. This is just to help you guys improve your English skills. So mistakes are fine. Don't worry about it. Now, Tamer, I see you have a question for me. Where do I live? I live in Connecticut. Okay. I was born in New York. I grew up in New York, and now I live in Connecticut, which is the state right next to New York, or it's one of the states right next to New York. So that's where I live now. So it's not that close to Atlanta, but it's not that far. California, that's really far. Atlanta, not that far. So, Luis, I enjoy listening. Oh, to the new podcast. You liked it? Thank you, Luis. It's a great way to improve English skills. Absolutely. That is exactly why I started the podcast, because I think it is such a great way for you guys to practice your listening skills, to get some help with your pronunciation, because you can hear how words are supposed to be pronounced. So, yeah, Luis, I'm glad you found it helpful. If you have suggestions, let me know, because I'd love to make more episodes, but I need something to talk about. All right, guys. So, yes, pop quiz. Very good, Tamir. A quiz is like a test or an exam, but a quiz is smaller, okay, or shorter. So, a quiz is not as big as a test or an exam, but it's the same thing. It's the same kind of thing. So, quiz, like a test or exam, pop. That part. What does that mean? Well, pop quiz means a surprise quiz. Okay, so you guys came to class. I didn't tell you we were going to have a quiz today. So that means it was a surprise. We call that a pop quiz. Kids in the United States, when they're, students in school, there's nothing they hate more than a pop quiz, because who wants to be surprised by a quiz? So a lot of kids, they hate pop quizzes. But you guys, of course, you don't have to worry, because like I said, there's no grades. All right, Tamir, you like my background? Oh, this here? Thank you. I wish I was really in a sunny place with palm trees, but it's just it's fake, but it looks really nice on camera. I like these, and I think a lot of other students like them too. All right, so let's talk about a game. Let's get a game started to get you guys warmed up. We're going to start with a game, not the rhyming game. We did the rhyming game yesterday. Today, we're going to play the prefix game. Okay, so the prefix game is a game where I give you a prefix, and then you have to think of words in English that use that same prefix. Okay, now I hope you guys remember what a prefix is, but if you don't, I'll explain quickly. A prefix is a letter or sometimes a group of letters that you can add to a word at the beginning of the word. That's why we use prefix goes at the beginning of a word, and it changes the meaning. Okay, so here's my example for you. The prefix that we're going to talk about today is dis. Okay, and I'll type it in so you guys can see it. Dis. That's our prefix. And an example of a word that uses that prefix is displeased. Displeased. So that prefix dis, D-I-S, it usually means not, without, or something like that. Okay? So pleased means you're happy about something. Displeased means you're not happy about something. Okay? So displeased means not pleased. Now, there are lots of other words in English that use the same prefix. So, guys, it's your time to type, okay? Yes, exactly, Tamir. Displeased means not happy, all right? So, think of other words in English that use the prefix dis at the beginning of the word, and the meaning of the word has to be related to the words not or without. Just like my word, displeased, the meaning is not happy. So that means dis is a prefix in that word. So I'm going to give you guys some time, but try to get your answers in because I have a lot more questions for you guys today. What is a word in English that starts with a prefix dis? Tamir, very good. Disqualify, that's a good one. Qualify means that you have what it takes to do something. You have the requirements or something like that. Disqualify means you don't have the requirements. You don't qualify. Very good. Tamer, disqualify. That's a good one. There are lots more. Okay, so I'll give you guys a little more time. I know prefixes are not easy. All right, so try to think of a word that starts with dis. And the meaning of the word has to do with not or without. Tamer, disagree. That's another good one. So agree means we think the same thing. Disagree means we do not think the same thing. We do not agree. Disagree. Very good, Tamer. Tamer, you're on a roll today. Good job. All right. We got to get at least one more word that starts with the prefix dis. Okay, so I'll give you guys some time. Think about it. What is a word in English that starts with dis? What do you guys think? I can definitely think of one that you guys should know. It's not that hard a word. I bet you guys know this word, but you haven't thought of it yet. I'm going to give you guys a hint. Well, not a hint. I'll give you one answer. Oh, Luis, very good. Dismiss. And Tamer, how did you guys think of the same word at the same time? Are you guys sitting at the same table somewhere? Very good. Dismiss. So, dismiss. What does dismiss mean? What does dismiss mean? Here's the thing with the word dismiss. I can't really describe the meaning of the word dismiss using a word like not or without. I'm trying to think if dismiss is actually using dis as a prefix. Dismiss. Honestly, I don't think that one works because dismiss, if you take dis away from the word, you have miss. And to not miss, that's not really what dismiss means. Dismiss doesn't mean not missing or without missing. So that is a good guess. Good guess, but that one is not a prefix. Sometimes that happens in English. Sometimes you'll see the letters dis at the beginning of a word, but it's not a prefix. Think of a word like dish, dish. That's not a prefix because if you take away dis, all you have is h. So dish doesn't mean not h or without h. So that word does not have dis as a prefix. It just has the letters dis. But here's one that is using dis as a prefix. Discover. Discover. So how is that a prefix? Well, discover means that you uncover something. So something that was hidden is now not covered. Discover. So that's a prefix. Okay. Dismissed the CD record. Dismissed. Tamer, I'm not sure what you mean by that sentence. Dismissed the CD record. So let me explain what the word dismiss means because you might not know exactly. Dismiss means, oh, Luis, I just saw that disconnect. That's perfect. Disconnect means not connected or without a connection. That's really good, Luis. That one counts. Back to the word dismiss. Dismiss means to get rid of something or to make it go away. That's what dismiss means. So in that word, I don't think dis is a prefix. All right, so we can stop the prefix game here. You guys are definitely ready for some more questions. And I just want to say one more thing. I know that prefixes and suffixes can be a little bit tricky to figure out because sometimes you'll see the letters and they are a prefix or a suffix. And sometimes you'll see the same letters, but they're not being used as a prefix or suffix. You have to think about the meaning of the word and how does the those letters change the meaning of the word? That's what you have to pay attention to. So they are a little tricky for students. Don't worry about that. We're definitely going to do more practice with prefixes and suffixes. But today, I want to get on to some other questions. All right. So quick reminder for people who are watching the recording. If you want to leave comments, please do. That way I can help you out. I can give you corrections. If you want to leave comments, here's what you have to do. Take your phone, turn it this way. Once you turn your phone this way, if you go all the way to the bottom of the screen, that's where you can leave your comments. All right, guys? So if you do that, I can help you guys even if you weren't here at the live class. Omar, hello. Thanks for joining us, Omar. All right, so first question that I have for you guys is, this one is about slang. And we talked about this one a while ago on the Facebook page. My question is, what does in the house mean? In the house. That phrase is slang. And I'm curious if you guys remember what it means. We talked about it in some of my Facebook classes. We talked about it on the Facebook page. I don't think we talked about it on YouTube, but I know a lot of you guys are on Facebook too. So let's see if you guys remember, what does in the house mean? All right. Now, if you have absolutely no idea what in the house means, that's okay. Here's what you can do right now. Give this video a thumbs up. If you like having free English classes, if you learn something in these English classes, please like this video. That really helps other students to find these classes. All right. So now, what does in the house mean? I know some of you guys are probably searching on Google right now, but we talked about this. We talked about it a few times in my Facebook class and on the Facebook page. What does what does in the house mean? It seems like you guys forgot. So let me help you out. In the house is a slang phrase, and it means here or present. Omar, free. I know why you guessed that. You're thinking of on the house, on the house. That means free. So if you go to a restaurant or a bar, they might give you a drink on the house if they want to be nice. That happens on the house. But this is in the house. In the house means here or present. Okay? So I'll give you an example of how it's used. Let me see who's in the house today. All right, I see Omar is in the house. Luis is in the house. Tamer is in the house. And those are the only names that I have. So that's how we use in the house. I could also ask a question like, is Nicaragua in the house? I could just ask about a country, Nicaragua. And then if anybody here is from Nicaragua, you would say, yes, Nicaragua is in the house. That's how we use that phrase, in the house. All right. So I just want to test out your knowledge of slang, but now we're going to talk about some other things. My next question is a vocabulary question. And this is something also from the Facebook page. So if you use the Facebook page, you should be familiar with this. What is a word that we use in English to describe a very large rock? A really big rock. There is a word for that in English. What is the word? What is that called? Okay, now I'll give you guys a hint just to help you remember. When we talked about this on the Facebook page, the picture that I posted was actually a picture of me in a park next to a really, really big rock. The rock was probably up to like past my waist. It was pretty high. It was almost up here, but it probably a little bit lower. So, what is a word for a really big rock? Omar, good guess. Mountain is not the right word because a mountain is part of the land, right? You couldn't pick up a mountain. Well, you can't pick up a very large rock either, not by yourself. But if you had enough people, you could pick up a really big rock and move it if it was in your way. But a mountain, you can't move a mountain, right? So, mountain is not the right word because a mountain is part of the earth, part of the land. I'm talking about something that's sitting on top of the ground, a really big rock. Does anybody remember what that's called? Tamer. So, big stone. You could say it's a big rock or a big stone, but there's one word that means the same thing as big stone. Can anybody remember? I'll give you a hint. It starts with that letter, starts with B. I hope one of you remembers. A word that starts with B that means very big rock or stone. What is it? All right. I think some of you guys might have to go back to my Facebook page and look at some of those older lessons because we talked about this. Luis, you got it. Omar, pebble. That's a word that means a very small rock. Okay. So, Omar, it's related, but you're talking about the opposite. You're talking about something really small. I'm talking about something really big. Luis, that's the word boulder. A boulder is a giant rock. Okay? Very nice. All right. So let's take a quick break here. All right. First, I want to remind you guys, if you don't know, I have an English club. Now, you guys that are here in class, I think a lot of you guys are already in my English club. I see you guys in class a lot, but some of you might not know about my English club. So I'm going to put the link in the chat box. That link will take you to a page on my website that has all of the different resources that I have for students, a blog, a podcast, YouTube channel, live free classes, everything that I have for students. You can look at some of them on that website. And if you think those things would be helpful to you, you should join my English club. And you can do it right there on the same page. If you join the club, every week, you'll get an email from me that has all of the different resources and it's in one convenient place. So when you're looking for something to study, you can just go to that one email and pick something. Okay, so I'm trying to help you guys with your studying, make it a little bit easier for you. If you want to join the club, you can follow that link and you can join us. All right, so question number 3. This one is about abbreviations. So I hope you guys remember there was a lesson on my Facebook page not too long ago, maybe a few weeks ago, about different abbreviations in English because we abbreviate a lot of things. Now, abbreviate, in case you don't know, means to shorten. So an abbreviation is a shortened version of a word or a phrase. Okay. And we have lots of them in English. Just like we have lots of expressions, lots of slang words, we also have lots of abbreviations. I know it doesn't make your job any easier trying to learn English, but that's how English is. So the expression that I want to ask you guys about today is, or sorry, did I say expression? I meant to say abbreviation. The abbreviation I want to ask you guys about today is DOA. DOA. DOA stands for a phrase in English. Now, my question is, do you remember what it stands for? What do those letters stand for? DOA. I'll give you guys a little bit of time. Think about it. What does DOA mean? And remember, if you're not 100% sure, but you have a guess? Go ahead and guess. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Who cares? It's not a big deal. I'll just help you out with the answer. So, what does DOA mean? And this one is really common in English. If you watch TV in English, like certain TV shows in English, I'm sure you've heard this expression in certain TV shows. It's very common. But even in everyday conversation, we use this expression sometimes, or this abbreviation. So what does DOA stand for? What does it mean? Does anybody remember? All right, I'll give you guys a hint. I'll give you one hint before I give you the answer. DOA is an abbreviation that comes from hospitals and doctors. It's that kind of phrase that it stands for. Okay, so what does DOA stand for? I'll give you guys like 10 more seconds. You guys are so quiet today. What's going on? DOA. No ideas? All right. DOA stands for, that would be, Tamir. DOB. Date of birth. In English, we say DOB as an abbreviation for date of birth. You'll see that a lot on forms, things like that. Omar, dead on arrival. Exactly. DOA stands for dead on arrival. So why do we use that? And why are we using these abbreviations that come from, hospitals and things like that? So DOA is an abbreviation that they would use if an ambulance was bringing someone to the hospital. The ambulance is like the big truck that you call if something bad happens and you need to get to the hospital. They take you to the hospital really fast. So if the ambulance comes in, and let's say the person that they were bringing to the hospital didn't survive, they died before they even got to the hospital, that's what's called dead on arrival, okay? Or DOA. Now, the thing is, DOA can also be used in other situations. You might use it figuratively. So maybe a person isn't really dead, but maybe you're dead tired. If you're like really tired, you might say, I feel DOA. You could say that. People use DOA to describe a lot of different things. But if you watch TV shows in English that are about hospitals or about doctors, then you'll definitely hear this abbreviation a lot. Okay, so DOA, dead on arrival. Now, this next one, you guys are definitely going to have to type something for this. Okay, this time you guys are going to have to type some sentences. And we're going to talk about those adjectives that are kind of confusing for students. Okay, not the same ones that we talked about yesterday. Today, the ones I want to talk about are interested and interesting. And the reason why I want to talk about these is because first, you need to know the difference between the two words. When do you use interested and when do you use interesting? And the other thing is, with the word interested, there is a certain preposition that you have to use with that word a lot of the times. And you got to get that preposition right. So I want you guys to make a sentence with the word interested and with the word interesting. Okay? If you only have time to do one sentence, that's okay. Pick one to do first, and then if you have time, do the second one. But see if you can write a sentence using interested or interesting. Okay? And if you have time to do both, do both. Now, remember to think about what is the difference between interested and interesting. When do we use one word and when do we use the other word? Okay, so I'm going to help you guys with your sentences, and I see Omar is on top of it. Omar, I am interested in learning English. Very good. Interested is the right word for that sentence. Why? Interested describes feelings, emotions, or moods, whatever you want to use to describe it. But interested describes how you feel. So I am interested. And the preposition, very good, Omar, in. You are interested in learning English. Luis, I am interested in, you're so close. Okay, I'm interested in improve my English skill. Interested, Luis, is the right word. Good job. In is the right preposition. Good job. Now, the verb after in, you have to fix that verb. Okay? You need to adjust that verb a little bit. So, Luis, I want you to try to fix that sentence. The word improve, how do you need to change that word to make your sentence correct? All right? Tamer, I'm interested to join to English club. Tamer. All right, I'm interested. That's good. You're describing how you feel. To is not the right preposition. You got to be careful with the prepositions. So, Tamer, I want you to look at some of the other sentences and see if you can fix the preposition in your sentence. The word that comes after interested. To is not the right word. There's a different word that you should put there. All right. So, Tamer, try to fix that sentence. All right. Now, someone else. Let's see. Jimmy Liang, or Liang, maybe. Good to see you in class. Your name sounds new. So if this is your first time, welcome. I am interested for travel. Jimmy, that's a good try. All right. Interested, you picked the right word. Interested describes how you feel. For is not the word that we use after interested. That is really hard for a lot of students. What word goes after interested? It's not for, and it's not to. All right. So, Jimmy, I want you to look at some of the other sentences and see if you can figure out what word you should put after interested. It's not for, it's a different word. Let's see who else is here. Taloon. Hello. All right. It sounds like an interesting plan. Okay. So, you chose the other word and you used it correctly, Taloon. An interesting plan. Now, here's the thing. Before a word like interesting, interesting starts with an I. So the article that we use is not a, it's an. Okay? So what you should say is, it sounds like an interesting plan. Taloon, that would be perfect. But good job with the word interesting. All right, Luis, I am interested in improving. Absolutely. So after in, you need to use the gerund. Okay? ing at the end of that verb when you're talking about something that you're interested in doing. I'm interested in improving my English skills. Okay? Very good, Luis. Omar, interesting people always come late. Really? Maybe that's true. I don't know. I'm actually always late and I'm a pretty interesting person. So maybe you're right, Omar. But yes, in that sentence, you're describing the people, but you're not describing how the people feel. So you're right, Omar. Interesting is the right word to use. Interesting means that it causes other people to be interested. So, interesting people, that means other people are interested in them. Interesting people are always, or interested people always come late. Good job, Omar. All right, Tamer, I'm very okay, Tamer, I'm very interesting, play guitar. So now, Tamer, you're describing your feelings, okay? You're describing how you feel about playing the guitar. So, interesting is not a word that describes emotions or feelings, okay? So, Tamer, I want you to think about that sentence. What word should you put there? Try to correct that sentence, okay, Tamer? All right, so you guys did an awesome job with that. Interested and interesting. Those are really tricky for a lot of students, just like bored and boring, embarrassed and embarrassing. A lot of students struggle. Which word should I use in this sentence? So this is really good practice for you guys. we're going to stop here with interested and interesting. It sounds like you guys are pretty much done with those sentences. And I have 2 more questions for you guys today. Hopefully, we'll see if we have time for 2 more. But before we talk about the last 2 questions, I just want to remind you guys, I teach small group classes and private classes. A lot of you guys know that, but some of you guys might not. So if you are looking for a private or a small group class, a class where you can actually speak to me, I can hear your voice, help you with pronunciation, practice having real conversations. If you're looking for something like that, you should definitely check out my website. I teach private and small group classes, and all of the information is on my website. If you follow the link that I just put in the chat box, you'll see all the information that you need. And if you have more questions, you can always send me a message. All right, Talun, I would like to be interested in those interesting things. Okay, that works. I would like to be interested in those interesting things. Yes, I would like to be interested, describing a feeling, in those interesting things, the things that make you feel interested. Very good, Talun. All right, guys. Next question is, let's see. Oh, okay. This one is an expression, okay, or an idiom. Some people say idiom, some people say expression. So this one we talked about not that long ago on my Facebook page, maybe I would say 1 or 2 weeks ago. So if you use my Facebook page, hopefully you remember this one because it's not from that long ago. The expression I want to ask you guys about today is play it by ear. Play it by ear. What does that expression mean? And I'm going to give you a hint. I'm not talking about music. Okay? When we talk about music or playing an instrument, sometimes people will use that phrase, play it by ear. That means you listen to a song and then you can just play it just from hearing it, from listening to it. You can play it on an instrument. That's called playing it by ear. But that's not what I'm talking about. There is another definition of that expression. What does it mean? Play it by ear. Oh, Luis. All right, you got another sentence for me? While I'm looking at this sentence, you guys try to think about play it by ear. What does that mean? If you know, go ahead and put it in the chat box. All right, Luis, this English class looks very interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so you're describing the class, and the class causes you or other people to be interested. So the class is interesting, or it looks interesting. All right, so very good. Now, Omar, to deal with a situation as it develops. Very nice. Play it by ear basically means you have no plan. Okay, so I'll give you an example of how I would use it. Play it by ear. When I go on vacation, when I travel, I don't like to plan what I'm going to do before I leave. Some people like to plan what they're going to do every single day before they even get on a plane and go anywhere. They already know everything that they're going to do. I don't like to do that. I just go wherever and I play it by ear. I just figure it out as I go. Okay? So Omar, very good to deal with the situation as it develops, to have no plan and just figure things out as you go. That's what play it by ear means. Very nice. All right. So, hello. Who is the new person here? I see hello, but I don't see a name or anything. Or maybe there's a name in a different language, but I don't understand that language. I also don't understand French, so definitely use English. All right. So, you guys, I have to say, congratulations, you survived today's pop quiz. Good job. Now, there might be some things that you forgot, or maybe you never saw them on my Facebook page. There are lots of lessons on my Facebook page every day, and most students only see half of them. They miss the other half. So you might want to take a look at the Facebook page and look at some of the older lessons, because there might be some that you missed or that you saw but you forgot because you haven't thought about them in a while. All right. So that's why I'm doing these pop quiz classes, to make sure that you guys Don't just look at things one time, okay? If you look at something one time and then just leave it alone, you're probably going to forget it. But if you look at it this week, next week, the week after, that's when it starts to stick with you. Okay. So that's what you need to try to do. Go over these things over and over again. That will really help your English skills. Now, we do have a couple of minutes left. So I'm going to ask you guys a few questions. First of all, I want to remind you guys that right here on my YouTube channel, there are about 7 or 8 other free classes just like this one. And if you haven't seen those are a great resource for you guys. Okay. So right here on this YouTube channel, I put them all in a nice playlist and you can go there and just look through any of the classes. Maybe you missed some, or maybe it's just been a while since you took that class. Watch it again. That will definitely help your skills. Okay. The other thing I want to remind you guys, for some of you who love videos and love YouTube, I took my podcast, which is just something that you listen to, and I actually turned them into YouTube videos. Okay. So if you go to my YouTube channel, the 2 newest videos that I posted are of my podcast. Okay. And you can watch the videos and the transcript, the words are right on the screen. So if you're a beginner or if you're having trouble understanding, you can read along while I'm talking, and that can be really helpful. It's just like watching TV with English subtitles, okay? But if you're an advanced student, then my suggestion is that you watch it without looking at the screen. So don't really watch it, just listen to the video without looking at the screen. That's good practice for your listening skills if you're more advanced, okay? So I hope that those resources are helpful to you guys. For today, we have a couple more minutes, so here's my last question for you. Do you have any English questions that you would like me to answer either in a class or on my podcast? Do you have any English questions that you'd like to ask? Because I can answer them in another class or in an episode of my podcast. So any English questions that you guys have, let me know. Now is the time. The other thing is, again, if you have suggestions for my podcast, any ideas, things that you'd like me to talk about, things you'd like to hear about, let me know. That way I can put everything that you guys want into the podcast. All right. To me, it's better than trying to guess what you guys want. I could try to guess what you guys want to hear, but I'm not going to be right all of the time. If you guys tell me what you want to hear, well, that's a lot easier. Then I'll do exactly what you guys want to hear. All right. So if you have English questions, let me know. If you have suggestions for the podcast, let me know. All right. And finally, just for those of you guys who are really looking for more free classes, I also created a playlist. That's a new thing that I did this week, a playlist on Facebook with all of the free Facebook classes that I've had. And I've had almost 20 Facebook classes. And the classes are like almost an hour long. So that's about 20 hours of class time, completely free. So you guys can go there. You guys can stay right here on YouTube. And don't forget the Ivy League English Club. If you want to get everything sent to your email once a week, all you have to do is join the club. All right, guys? So, no English questions? Are you guys sure? How can I improve my grammar and vocabulary? You know, Jimmy, that's a good question. Improving vocabulary, I still believe that the best way to improve vocabulary is reading. Okay, reading. And a lot of teachers will tell you that. The reason why reading is a great way to improve your vocabulary is because when you're reading, you're taking your time. Okay, and when you take your time, you can stop, you can look words up, or you can just stop and think about it and see if you can figure it out without looking it up. When you're watching a movie or a TV show or something like that, you're not going to stop in the middle of a TV show to look up a word. Most students are not going to do that. You know, like when I study Spanish and I'm watching a TV show in Spanish, most of the time, if I don't understand a word, I just forget about it. But if I'm reading, I'm much more likely to stop and look it up so that I'll learn a new word. So, vocabulary, absolutely. Reading is, I think, by far the best way to do that. Now, the thing you have to remember about vocabulary is just like anything else, if you look at it just once and never again, you're not going to remember it. Right, Jimmy? So you have to keep a list of the words that you learn and you have to look at them, not for a long time. Take 3 or 4 minutes every day and just look through some of the words. Every day, look at those words over and over again. Make sure you remember what they mean. Okay. Now, grammar, improving grammar, that's a little bit tougher. To improve your grammar, listening to native speakers is really important. Okay, listen to native speakers and how they talk. Videos are good. TV shows and movies are all good. Reading is also good because that's also good grammar. It's a good example for you. But a lot of times to really improve your grammar, you need help from someone who really understands English. You need a native speaker who's really committed to helping you, or you need a teacher. Okay, because grammar is very complicated. It's not like vocabulary. Vocabulary is very simple. You can teach yourself new words every day. Grammar is a lot more complicated. So if you really need to improve your grammar, I'll be honest, my suggestion is if you don't have a native speaker around that you see all the time that can help you with that every day or on a regular basis, you need to get a teacher or you need to take a class, okay? And a class where you can actually talk to the teacher. I mean, classes like this are great, but there are only so many things we can do in a class like this, all right? So, Jimmy, I'm sorry if that's not the answer you wanted to hear, but I want to be honest with you, okay? So I hope that helps. And if you have more questions, let me know. All right, guys. So that's the end of our class for today. I'm so glad that you guys came. I really appreciate it, and I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, at the end of this video, when the video is over, for some of you, that might be the easiest time to give this video a thumbs up. All right, so class is going to end in a minute, and when it does, please give this video a thumbs up before you leave. All right, guys, enjoy your day or have a good night, and I hope to see you guys at the next free class. Bye, guys.